So today what we're going to be talking about foundational information about mindset, your behavior and what's driving how you're addressing sales. But the first thing that we have to deal with in sales is we need to take responsibility for ourselves, because what you all are going to hear me talk about multiple times is you are the leader of this conversation. But if your mind is all messed up and you're not controlling what you're thinking about, it's going to derail everything else. When we're talking about sales as a foundation, I know that it's a law firm. I know that we need lawyers in order to practice law, but truthfully, you are the one that's important, because without you, there is no law firm. Without you talking to the clients, there is no law firm. Your role as a salesperson matters first and foremost before you dive into acting as an attorney, because sales is the foundation of every single law firm. And I want to start off with this idea. When you hear the word sales or salesperson, what is it that springs to mind? When we talk about sales, the word sales is icky. It is something that has so much negative emotion wrapped around it. When we're looking at this, I want you all to recognize the thoughts and the feelings that you have about sales and realize that it's not something necessarily that you've come up with on your own. In law firms specifically, we kind of treat sales as a necessary evil. Sales just has a terrible connotation. Look at these and see how many of these you recognize. But what I'm going to show you guys is people have just misused the term sales. I think being a salesperson is the noblest thing you can do. Here's the truth about sales. We are here to be ethical, helpful salespeople. Sales is not something you do to someone. It's something you do for someone. The big thing here that I want you all to take away is you are the expert. It doesn't matter that you don't have a law degree. The fact that you have been working in the firm gives you 1,000 times more information than the person calling on the phone. And by the end of our course, you're going to be an expert in sales. You're an expert in helping someone get what they need. Think of yourself as an expert in service. This is the difference in sales when we're looking at a get versus give mentality. When you're coming from that salesy get mentality, you are pushy. You're coming from this energy of, I need you to buy this. People who are calling in feel pressured. It's just not a good situation to be in. When you come from the give mentality, you're coming from a place of service. You're thinking, how can I help this person? This is a different energy. This is a calm, confident energy. You're partnering with them instead of attacking them and pushing them. Here's the hard truth that I need you all to really realize. If your conversion rates are not where you want them to be, the problem is not the clients. The problem is you. But everyone who comes through this course tells me, well, clients just don't have the money. That is never the issue. They called, they had an issue, they had something we could help them with, and then we're not doing what we need to do to convert them. What we have going on in our own minds is going to necessarily impact our sales conversion rate. What's going on when we are having these ideas of pushy sales, thinking, well, I have to make sale, is cognitive dissonance. Is this idea that you're doing something externally, but your mind thinks something opposite about it. So you're in conflict. You're saying, I want money from this person. I want to do a good job, but also money is the devil. Money is the root of all evil. That's what's causing us to have issues in our sales. Because if you're doing that in your brain, think about what the other person's doing. You're supposed to be the leader in the conversation that is guiding them into, hey, we can help you. All we have to do is exchange some paper. But if you don't come from a place of clarity, you're not going to be able to help someone else realize, hey, this is just what I do to exchange to get what I need in the service that I need. When we're looking at sales, we first have to look at us. There's the saying that if you keep grasping in the dark, eventually you're going to grab something. Yes, when you're in sales, even if you have cognitive dissonance going on, if you keep grabbing around, eventually you're going to grab onto something. When we're dealing with cognitive dissonance, it shows up in different ways based on what we believe. Your cognitive dissonance is engaging in sabotage patterns. So once we can identify how cognitive dissonance shows up in ourselves and how we sell, we can also start to see it in clients. Too much is a comparison where if you think about an apple is the size of an apple. The question is it too much or too little? But if you compare an apple to a watermelon, an apple is nothing. That's so tiny. A watermelon is so much bigger. The idea of much, the idea of comparison comes in only when we're comparing it to something else. And they're thinking this service isn't worth that. But what's happening here is with cognitive dissonance, even though consciously you're learning this, you're thinking this, but your subconscious is so powerful and we have to put new information into it because even just understanding this, your subconscious is always driving it. But first we have to understand how they got there and what they're doing. When we're looking at this, based on a gentleman named Dr. Thurman Fleet to describe how the mind is actually three separate parts. It's the conscious, the subconscious, and the body. But what you need to understand understand is the subconscious mind actually makes up about 95% of the processes that are going on. 95% of who you are and what you're doing is actually operating at a subconscious level. Only 5% of what we're doing is really conscious. What's happening here is the exact same thing that happens when you're driving a car and you got in your car and then the next thing you knew you were there and you don't remember making the turn, but you got your physical body from one place to 10 miles away without thinking at all. That is the subconscious mind. That's what's happening 95% of the time. We are on autopilot. So our job in the sales course is to recognize that our subconscious is ruling. We need to start pushing our conscious mind to stay active longer so that we can reprogram the subconscious things that are going on. 95% of the time it'll operate the way it's supposed to, and we can be excellent salespeople subconsciously. So when we're looking at the subconscious versus conscious mind, the conscious mind is responsible for logic, decision-making, thinking. It's that conscious portion, the thing that you can actively control. So the subconscious mind is that automatic mechanism that's running. The conscious mind is the logical thing that you have control over. Another way to look at it is you've got the conscious mind, which is the thinking mind. You've got the subconscious mind, which is the emotional center. And then you've got the body. And I use manifest. It is the reaction through which think something. You think, I'm going to pick up this cup. Your brain thinks at first logically. Your subconscious says, okay, how does a cup get picked up? The body is actually manifesting the action of the thought. The conscious mind can think, it can reason, it can accept and reject, and that's important. But your subconscious cannot think, it cannot reason, and it cannot accept or reject. It operates on pattern recognition. It's rooted in the part of the brain that is designed to help you do two things: to keep you safe and to look to make babies. Now, this is where I said it's so important to understand. Before the age of 7, the subconscious mind is basically like an open cup, and things get dumped in there. Who you are and what you think is a direct result of the subconscious things that were put there before you were 7. After the age of 7, our conscious mind starts to take form where we reason through our senses. By the age of 7, then you can start saying, okay, well, I accept that or I don't accept that. You didn't have control of what was put there before. Your brain just accepted everything as true. What you think is based in what you were taught subconsciously from your environment. What's actually going on is the way that you perceive things is filtered through your subconscious. What's happening is logically you're trying to do something, but subconsciously there's something else controlling the system, and that is impacting. Our conscious mind processes what we think about what we're doing, but the how we do it is actually coming through the subconscious. And what we think about filters through how or our beliefs, and that is what impacts our reality. This idea of building a habit, people talk about it takes 21 days to build a habit, but it's through constant spaced repetition. Because people will say, stand in front of the mirror, say, I'm a wealthy person 10 times. That's not what does it. It's not the repetition changes a belief. It is the constant repetition. When you hear something over and over and over a course of time, then you start to believe it. If we want to get really deep into this, if there's something that you believe about yourself that you really don't think is true, I believed that I was too much, but I had embodied what was constantly spaced and repeated to me. In order to change the belief, we have to use the same pattern to take it out. We have to constantly input something new, and it has to be over a period of time, repetitive plan. If you are consciously doing it, at the end of our course, yes, of course I can sell people because I'm here to help people. That is a belief that we're going to be putting into your brain, that sales is helping people. The other way that you rewire the mind is through a sudden emotional response. Now, this is not something that I can organically do for you guys. There was a little girl that I knew who constantly believed that she wasn't pretty. She got it in her head somehow that she wasn't pretty, and she always told herself it wasn't pretty. But she was walking down a hall and she overheard 2 other people talking about her. And they said, oh my God, did you see so-and-so? She is gorgeous. And it just hit her. Like she just got this overwhelming feeling. Oh my God, someone thinks I'm beautiful. She'd never heard it before. And it just struck her and it hit her so powerfully. And from that day on, she started looking at herself differently because that emotional impact hit her so hard. It took one thing that was a sudden emotional impact. That is a way that beliefs get formed. So the only way that I can train you all to change your subconscious beliefs is through this constant spaced repetition. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Bye.